Hello everyone, this is part 26 of What If Naruto Failed and Chose a Different Path, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Quote. I hereby declare him disqualified from the Chunin exam and Rock Lee the winner of the second match, said Genma, only to cover his ears from the boos from the crowd and the shrieks from all of the Sasuke fangirls in the stands. Lee leaped back up to where the competitors were while Naruto just smiled at Lee for doing what he did. The boy was still trying to prove he was just as strong as him, but as he did, Naruto frowned as he realized something was off with the exams. Hey Lee, I'm curious, but I realized your match was supposed to be last. Why the change? Said Naruto, looking at Lee hoping for answers. Shikamaru then stepped forward, much to everyone's surprise, knowing that the Nara was normally too lazy for his own good. I can answer that, Naruto. You see, while you were away wherever your troublesome self was, Sasuke had Kakashi organize a meeting with the Hokage and the council. He basically said Neji would beat you easily since you were last, and that being his overconfident and troublesome self, he claimed he could beat Lee easily, said Shikamaru, remembering how his father heard this from being one of the members in the room. Yosh. Sasuke mocked Guy Sensei and our flames of youth. I believe Hokage-sama was originally against the idea of moving the match up early after yours, but the council overturned his decision in a united vote, said Lee with his sword on his back with the blunt end resting behind him. Shikamaru sweat drops at that statement, wondering why was it that energetic people always make things troublesome for lazy guys like him down the road. Yeah, that too, eyebrow twitches. Anyway, Naruto, the council believed that it would be better for Sasuke so everyone could see just how powerful he was against Neji. You know the whole thing with clan bloodline rivalries and how troublesome they can get, said Shikamaru, who being an excellent strategist had already deduced that from Naruto's determination, desire, and the guy's mad skills, that Neji was going to get the crap beat out of him. Shikamaru sometimes hated being right. All right, on to the third round of the Chunin exams. Nara, Shikamaru and Subaku no Temari, get down here for your match, said Genma, ignoring Shikamaru's face paling, as Temari smirked and flew down on her fan, eager for battle. Oh man, this is too troublesome, I'm going to forfeit, whispered Shikamaru to himself, not wanting to fight a girl related to Gaara, Terra, and more importantly like Naruto. If you forfeit, Terra will beat the crap out of you, and if you don't go down there now I'll make you, said Naruto, leaning against the wall connected to the railing. Again Shikamaru paled before calculating his odds of survival if he decided to forfeit and face not only Terra's wrath, but possibly his mother's too. She hated it when he gave up unless he had a reasonable excuse, which he realized he didn't have one. Damn, I guess I have no choice but to fight her, said Shikamaru, letting his head limp down, knowing no matter what he did he was screwed. Good, you see it my way, now get your lazy ass down there, and fight, said Naruto, who had secretly made a clone during their conversation and pushed Shikamaru over the railing before the clone puffed away while Shikamaru landed on the ground with a very loud thud. Damn it, Naruto, yelled Shikamaru, now angry that the boy had pushed him off while the said boy was laughing at the Nara's misfortune. In the medic area of the stadium, Neji sat there on his back of his hospital bed, thinking about what Naruto had said to him about Hinata and all she had tried to do over the years in being close to him. He had always blamed her for the death of his father when the Cloud Ninja came and stole her from the Hyuga compound. He realized now that she could never be at fault and that because of that event she had become shy around others. It didn't help that she had been pressured and looked down on by her family on both sides with little support from each. Hinata, I am truly sorry for my past misgivings towards you. I will be the protector and the loving family member that you see in me, thought Neji, making this a silent vow to himself, not realizing his uncle was now in the room. Neji, I know that you hate the Hyuga main family for what happened to my brother, that was your father all those years ago. However, there are some things you must know not only about that night, but other things as well before the events that led to his death, said Hiashi, having left his daughter in the company of Hyuga bodyguards to take back to the compound to be safe from the fighting that was to come soon. Hiashi-sama, said Neji, confused only to be handed two scrolls, with one being from his father and the other from Naruto. Please read mine first before you read his, so you know the truth about what happened the night of Hinata was nearly captured, said Hiashi, looking at Neji's face, wondering if the boy would hate him still or forgive him for not doing what he should have done years ago. In the stadium arena minutes later, Shikamaru was exhausted from his trials with dodging Temari's wind attacks, with her fan finding that she was pretty witty when it came to mind games. He had to employ all his strategy know-how into the fight, map his plans out by staying 4 steps ahead of her just to use his shadow possession jutsu to get her where he wanted her. She's good, but all things considered she's got more firepower than strategy on her side. Not good in some cases, seeing how it's not always healthy when facing someone who is the opposite in stature, thought Shikamaru, pushing her away from him with his family's skills to the center of the arena floor. As he did that, Temari placed her fan out, blocking her figure. He had to go in for the K with using the hole made from the lightning bolt from Naruto and Neji's battle. Within mere moments she had been grabbed as she tried to make a simple clone of herself to fool him. Crap. He's outsmarted me, thought Temari, as the jutsu took hold and made her pick up her fan and close it so it couldn't be used right away should he lose control. Hey Proctor, I give up. I'm too low on chakra right now, and continuing the fight would be too troublesome on my body, said Shikamaru, making many in the Orzen sweat drop and faceplant at the lazy Nara's words. Well, you can't say he didn't earn it, thought Naruto, smiling slightly amused at the lazy kid he called a friend, wondering if Shikamaru was really out of chakra or just being his usual Nara self. Winner by forfeit, Subaku no Temari, said Genma, mentally shaking his head at the boy. Why did you give up? I know perfectly well you could have knocked me out with my own fan to get the win, said Temari, as the two went up the stairs. I was telling the truth and it did cross my mind, but if I did I would have to face the ever-troublesome wrath of Gaara, Terra, and let's not forget Naruto of all people, said the lazy Nara, making Temari blush at the mention of Naruto's name. All right, I believe you, for now, said Temari like an afterthought, making Shikamaru wonder if it was wise to lose like he did. Indeed, Naras were too smart and lazy for their own good. All right, on to the next match. Aberrane Shino vs Subaku no Kankuro, said Genma loud enough for the Orzens to hear, who found the just finished match to be good yet boring for their tastes. With Hiashi and Neji, this can't be. First I find out why my father did what he did, and now I find that nearly my whole life in devoting myself to my family and clan is nothing but a lie, said Neji, as he had finished reading the scroll that were of his father's and Naruto's finding about his family. I know what you mean, Neji. I was the one who performed the sealing on you in front of your father after all. I wanted to support my brother in being the Hokage, I truly did, just as I wanted to take my life to prevent war after the incident with Cloud. However, all was for naught when I learned of your father trying to cheat his way to earning such a TLE. Even if I could, I would have been pressured by the very clan elders and council that tried to help him achieve it. Though what Hisashi did he most likely did for you, Neji, I could not approve of his actions of trying to CSPLE Naruto's father. Though it's really not all that surprising when you think about it, said Hiashi, looking back at all the decisions he and the other council members had made in the best interest of this village that was made right after Slade in Kyuubi form attacked Konoha. What do you mean? Said Neji, looking up at his uncle, who seemed off in his own little world of thoughts. When you were on the council you noticed things, and only now have I looked back on them just now to realize that I too have been manipulated. No doubt due to the fact that the fourth Hokage and I were once on the same genin team and the fear of those loyal to him getting the villages and ninjas' attention, said Hiashi, looking out a window that was at head level on a nearby wall. Manipulated? How? Why? Surely you would have noticed such things using your years of your own ninja despite being consumed in your clan duties, said Neji, as the reality of the situation hit the young Hyuga prodigy like a ton of bricks coming at him at the speed of sound. And another piece fits into place. You see, Neji, despite popular belief the fourth Hokage was not loved by all of the people of our village. No, there was some in Konoha who hated him with a passion because he was stronger than them. One of them, as you already know, being Orochimaru, who left out of jealousy and being caught performing sick and twisted experiments on people to create immortality for himself. Some of the others had resided within the Uchiha clan, but seeing how they are wiped out with all, but two, that's really moot in point right now. Others ranged within the Hyuga clan due to his fighting style, which you learned firsthand from Naruto was practically invincible. And finally there were the more aged members of the council itself, said Hiashi, knowing those on the council along with himself, Aburame, Nara, and Yamanaka were not among them. The council that oversees the development of the village with the aid of the Hokage hated the fourth. Said Neji, not understanding why people could hate the due to not being just as strong as others were. Yes, you see, it's common in every village to have two forms of government within it to keep it stable, sharing equal power between the two to function efficiently. However, it was during the time after the second Hokage that the council had become increasingly bitter in keeping the balance of power within the government in running the village. The more older members that were all once fellow genin with the third in his youth, along with the former leader of Root Danzo, had all believed they should rule over Konoha like they were gods. However, the stronger the Hokage, the smaller their chances became in achieving it without any major complications from the ninja or villages. When the third was retiring and the fourth was to take his place, the council became infuriated at the fact that the newest Hokage was by far the strongest to that date. With the support of most of the ninja and all of the villages, no one would dare oppose him in trying to take any form of power from the fourth Hokage. In fact, had Kyuubi, or rather Slade from what you read in Naruto's scroll, not been assaulted and gone on a rampage, thus causing the events that happened, the council would not have gotten a weakened Sandaime, giving them the very chance they need to get the leverage and gain governmental power to rule over Konoha, said Hiashi, turning to face Neji, who was too shocked for words at the moment. A village ruled entirely by a council. Impossible. The council would just bicker and squabble, causing a massive divide among each of them. It could create a power vacuum filled with panic, civil war, and chaos within the very structure of the village itself. Clans would take sides, pitting friends against each other, king for the side they believed was right, thought Neji, looking at Naruto's scroll, seeing the very ending and what it said. You make your own fate, Neji. If everything is predetermined, then what's the point of living life at all? Don't worry about your seal either. Once this is over, and I believe you are not the guy the first just gave an ass end of an ass kicking to, Neji sweat drops, I might just consider removing that seal off your forehead. Slade explained to me the whole thing about the clans during training, and we have a solution to fixing it. Just trust me, were the words Naruto had written down, and Neji wondered if a caged bird like him could one day be free if he banged on the door hard enough. Chunin Stadium Arena moments later. Winner by knockout is Aburame Shino, said Genma, as the bugs that Shino had come out of his body had crawled onto the real Kankuro, who after a few moments fell to the ground in a fake knockout. While Shikamaru and Lee were talking to Naruto about why Lee's match went after his, the two Gen and possibly future Chunin talked their match over. The two knew ahead of time that since the Sandout off-sound invasion would require them being at full strength, they decided that Kankuro would be the one to fall. He agreed on the account that he didn't want to face Gaara later, regardless if he was sane now or not. The Sand Demon vessel had never lost a fight once in his life, and Kankuro had seen those who had lost to him, with Kiba and Akamaru still pictured clearly in his head, form the preliminaries. At least I get a free ride to the medic area and don't have to do anything for little a while, thought Kankuro, as his body was placed on a gurney heading for the said destination. All right, now on to the first round of the semi-finals of the third exam. Will Uzumaki, Naruto and Rock Lee come to the arena again? Said Genma, finding his ears were not so taxed this time, though his eyes were irritated seeing a "Go Naruto" sign being held up by Inuzuka Hana while being supported by Ino and Tenten next to her. Naruto and Lee appeared a second later on the arena floor on opposite sides of each other, ready to do battle with each other, but also enjoy the fight. They so desperately wanted to have a fight against each other that it had become an itch in them they originally couldn't scratch that was only now starting to get deep under their skin. I've waited a month for this moment, Lee. I spent the entire month training to the brink of physical, mental, and even spiritual destruction. I expect nothing but the best from you in this fight, said a now hungry for battle Naruto, stretching his muscles to be fully effective in this fight. I have, Naruto. Ever since I saw you use that power in the preliminaries, I knew I would have to train to a point where I could or wish to the gods I did. With the help of both Gai Sensei and Zabuza Sensei, I have become a pure taijutsu specialist, along with being a competent swordsman worthy of this blade Zabuza ordered to be made for me. I wish to see how I will fare with your blade against mine for this fight, said Lee, doing his own form of stretches before lifting his sword up again ready to use in his fight. Alright Uzumaki Naruto vs Rock Lee. Ready, said Genma, but was interrupted as the two genin got ready to fight when a two kunai flew through the air with one landing in between Naruto and Lee while the other landed at Genma's feet. I think you need to reiterate that last part, Proctor. It is supposed to be Uchiha Sasuke vs Rock Lee, not Uzumaki Naruto, said Kakashi with Sasuke now all dressed in a black shirt and shorts beside him. Sorry Kakashi-san, but Sasuke was disqualified for being late to his own fight. It's been over for some time and we're in the semi-finals now, said Genma wanting to get back to the fight that was supposed to officially start now. Meanwhile Sasuke, when hearing he was out of the Chunin exams for being late, was now seething with rage. This proctor in front of him had the nerve to disqualify the great Uchiha Sasuke for being tardy. He was an Uchiha and Uchiha always get what they want or else blood is spilled as a form of repayment. I suggest you reconsider that move, Proctor. I refuse to believe that these two losers are fighting each other. One's a loser and the other is just an equally big loser with a sword to match. I demand that you give me a match to become a possible Chunin in these exams, or else, said Sasuke, whispering the last part to Genma, making the said man's eyebrow go up. Kakashi, I would advise you keep your student's anger under control before he decides to do something stupid, said Genma, warning Kakashi to come down his charge before the kid regrets it. Don't bother, Proctor. Kakashi wouldn't listen to you unless you were the Hokage, so don't expect someone of Team's ego to be reined in any time soon, said Naruto, not taking his eyes off Lee and vice versa. Watch your mouth, Naruto. I am a Junin and your sensei to above all, and simply bad-mouthing me will only make it possible for your punishment to be worse for you if I see fit to implement any, said Kakashi, knowing there were ways of punishing Genin when they got out of line, though he doubted the Hokage would allow him to do so. I find you are inadequate as a teacher to me, Kakashi-sensei, seeing how you've taught me nothing except tree walking, which I already know better than you. As for punishing me, why should I be punished? I advanced to the semi-finals and I am now facing a very scared warrior and dear friend to proceed further in the exam. If anyone here is going to be remotely punished, Hataki-san, is you for your tardiness and passing it on to the so-called Uchiha prodigy. In fact, do us all a favor, go poof yourself into the stand with the Uchiha team here before I throw the both of you out, with the proctor's permission of course, said Naruto, smiling a fox-like smile at Genma, making Lee give a thumbs up. Nice guy, pose for Naruto's Flames of Youth. Such acts by the two made both Kakashi and Sasuke infuriated at the two, with Kakashi getting angry at Naruto while Sasuke got angry at both Naruto and Lee. The curse seal on his end was slightly pulsing and fighting the seal Kakashi had placed on it. Someone has to pay for this insult. The loser cares about his friends, right? Well, let's see how he feels when I take one away from him in this fight, thought Sasuke, looking at Naruto before turning his head to Lee, looking for the spot in which to strike. Now Uzumaki-san, as much as I'm sure you would like to do as you say you would, I can't allow it. Besides, there is no, said Genma when he suddenly felt chakra coming out of Sasuke's body and Kakashi's original technique Chidori appeared out of nowhere, with the holder of the skill charging at Lee with great speed. Time for you to you stupid weakling of a ninja. Chidori, said Sasuke, aiming the attack at Lee's heart for an instant K. This surprised Kakashi, seeing how it was his technique, as well as everyone else in the crowd not wanting to believe that Sasuke would do something so dangerous in front of them. It had brought back memories for some of Itachi when he killed off the clan in a very brutal fashion and design. Kakashi, you have some explaining to do, thought the third Hokage, narrowing his eyes while the Kazekage looked on with silent glee at the strength Sasuke had gained to wield such a technique. Such strength and anger runs through his blood. I'm surprised Itachi didn't take the boy with him to train himself, thought Orochimaru in his disguise, watching the Uchiha head towards his intended target. Lee saw just how fast the boy was, and he had to admit it rivaled his speed when wearing weights and wielding his sword at the same time. When tired, Lee, I'm projecting my thoughts into your head, but don't overreact or Sasuke will suspect something with his Sharingan eyes. When the team gets close to you, I will give the signal for you to follow my instructions while I project a mental shield with my Jagan eye on your eyes to protect you from team's eyes. Got it, thought Naruto into Lee's head, making Lee nearly jump out of his spandex suit, and then again a second time when Naruto told him what to do. Got it, Naruto. Show me what to do so we can have our match, thought Lee as he could only look on enthusiastically at Sasuke charging at him ready to deliver the blow Naruto told him to deliver. When Sasuke was within striking distance, Sasuke took the Chidori in hand and thrust it forward with all his strength at Lee. Now, thought Naruto, giving the signal with his Jaganai, making Lee react in turn to the instructions he had been given. As Sasuke thrusted his Chidori forward with his eyes locked on Lee, he felt a twinge on his eyes, but ignored it, thinking it involved his currently unleashed attack. What he did not realize was the Jagan had covered Lee's eyes with a barrier, preventing the boy from using his eyes to read his soon-to-be victim's movements. Lee flipped his sword onto the reverse end and spun away to his own left before swinging his reversed-bladed weapon into Sasuke's side, much to the horror of Kakashi, Orochimaru, and every pro-Sasuke in the room. The impact and the kickoff from the giant sword sent Sasuke into the air, only to receive an unwelcome kick to the head by Naruto, who had leaped into the air, sending him flying into the computer's box before landing onto solid ground again in an ever-graceful manner. "Can Lee and me fight now?" said Naruto calmly, as if what they had done was the easiest thing in the world. Genma looked at the two boys, nearly losing his senbon needle that he had in his mouth and wondering just how strong these kids were. "Man, at this rate I'll retire early and kids like those will be taking my place. I swear they keep getting younger every year," thought Genma, now noticing Kakashi's mixed emotional-filled face-covered masked state before the former Anbu captain made of fists from his hands and glared at Naruto with all the hatred he could produce. "Damn you, Naruto. You are no student of mine. When this is over, you will pay," said Kakashi before quickly retrieving an unconscious Sasuke and then heading to the medic area so the boy could be helped with his injuries that included a broken jaw. "Kakashi, has your hatred and loss of those close to you sealed off your heart completely, that you would hate your sensei's own son? Forgive me, Kakashi, but when this is over I may have to have you see Yamanaka and Noiki for a mental evaluation," thought the third Hokage, mentally sighing, wishing the fourth were here to help his son along instead of being in the belly of the death god. "Well, considering how that little interruption has ended, we can and will now continue the exams as planned without any further interruptions," said Genma, looking at the two boys' swords at the ready. "Here I come, Lee," said Naruto, grinning a beastie grin while his hand got comfortable with the hilt of his sword. "Bring it on, Naruto," said Lee, readying her Zanbato for a good fight. First match of the semi-finals of the Chunin exams. Uzumaki Naruto vs Rock Lee. "Ready. Begin," said Genma, leaping back, wanting to get away from the range of the bigger sword of the two in this fight. The two genin rushed each other, though, with Lee Zanbato the length of the run towards each other, quickly ending the gap between them. They began hitting the other swords in hit after hit, countering each other movements with expert precision equal to that of what many would think was a master. "Damn," thought everyone watching the fight that didn't know just how good those two were in swordsmanship. The Naruto and Lee blocked, paired, and used the skills they had trained so very hard to achieve against the other's own. When they came to a slot, both combatants smiled at each other before breaking it and leaping away with their stances at normal. "It seems we are even in the way of sword, Lee. Though I can tell you were holding back, as was I in that regard. However, I wonder just how strong you are against me in taijutsu," said Naruto, hitting the subject of interest that had always been Lee's favorite, as he sheathed his sword before taking the said contained weapon away from his waist and proceeded to place it standing in the earth. "What an excellent idea, Naruto. I welcome to fight you in taijutsu and see for myself just how strong you are in it. From what I saw in your fight with Neji, it is a mix of the Hyuga gentle fist and the strong fist that me and Gai Sensei use for taijutsu. I want to see just how strong your strong fist truly is compared to mine," said Lee, spinning his sword above his head twice before placing the sword, point down, into the ground. Genma could only smirk as he took several more steps away from them, knowing it was about to get intense. "Just don't overdo it, you guys. We have to go to war later on today," thought the proctor, knowing that they needed everyone one they could get in defending Konoha at near to full strength. The two boys stepped away from each of their weapons before getting into their own fighting stances that they were trained in. For several seconds neither boy moved, waiting for just the right moment to fight, while no one in the crowd made a noise. Even Hana had stopped waving her "Go Naruto" banner with Ino and Tenten just to see what their boy would do in this occasion. "Go Naruto. You can do it," thought Hinata, looking on, hoping he could win after already being awed by his skills with a sword and his taijutsu. In an instant and without any hesitation, hint or preview that would give them away into who would who first. The two disappeared instantly, shocking everyone. Soon very loud boom Sounds could be heard throughout the stadium, with large chunks of the earth in the arena turning to nothing in random areas. Naruto and Lee were moving at such high speeds that they were almost unseeing unless you were a high-level Junin, Anbu, or a Kage. Yosh! Look at my Lee go! He is burning with the flames of youth today, yelled guy in the stands before getting bashed in the head by a guy behind to shut the hell up and the fact the person couldn't see. After a few moments the sound stopped and the two genin appeared slightly panting and tired, with Naruto having several bruises appear on his arms, abs, and chest. Lee had on his face a bleeding temple and from the way he moved had the same amount of bruises if not more than Naruto. Looks like Zabuza put you through the extra hard training if you are this fast, said Naruto, remembering how Zabuza had told him the sword he had was like a mobile weight that while holding it helps you become faster when you let go of it and thus making it perfect if you know taijutsu. Considering Lee wore weights all the time, it wasn't surprising that this made him even that much faster than what he normally was. Indeed he did, Naruto. This entire month I have spent holding that sword and wielding it non-stop with Guy-sensei add more weights to my body to make me stronger in my taijutsu. I imagine your weights are just as heavy as mine if not more, considering who has trained you all this time. Naruto, know this. If you do become Hokage, I wish to request one thing from you, said Lee, as his face had become half smile half serious. Fire away, said Naruto, knowing that Lee was trying to be all business and have fun at the same time fighting in the match. You must train me to become someone worthy of being your Anbu bodyguard, said Lee, rushing forward at blinding speed before thrusting his fist forward. Naruto did not expect Lee to attack him before he could respond, so he barely had time to block by moving the back of his left arm up, taking the hit hard, creating another bruise. Sure. After all, a Hokage has to have strong bodyguards, and you being one of them I think is one of the best ideas I've ever heard, said Naruto before he suddenly grabbed the attacking hand at the wrist with his own right hand. Naruto then retaliated by kicking Lee in the gut, making some blood leave the boy's lips before the bowl hair-shaped boy grabbed the leg with his free arm. Damn. These kids are fighting like they are on opposite sides, but are friends and are having the time of their lives. What did their senseis do to them? Thought Genma, as he saw the two stare at each other eye to eye without moving in their current stalemated position. Looks like we are slopped, my friend. But I'll tell you what, Lee'll make you a deal. On the count of 3 we break off, grab our prized swords, and the attack in a single move to end it all. What do you think? Said Naruto, looking at Lee with a smile of pure enjoyment of this fight. I accept, Naruto, but know this. Whether I win or lose this fight I do not care, for this is the best fight I could ever ask for from someone of your strength. I am honored to fight you, Naruto, said Lee, who had not felt such a challenge since he first started training with Guy. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Said Naruto, with the third number being said both he and Lee broke off from each other before dashing to their weapons, readying them, and then broke the sound barrier, disappearing one moment and then reappearing the next, with each fighter being on the opposite side of where their opponent was a second ago. I couldn't see them move. Truly this generation of Genin are our Kohona's brightest and best we have produced, thought Sarutobi, looking at the two boys that seemed to be still frozen like statues in their current positions. Suddenly a diagonal cut appeared on Naruto's chest, spraying blood everywhere before he fell to his knees, gasping for air while in pain, and using his sword as a crutch to support him from falling over. Naruto, thought the girls, who would have screamed had Lee not fallen over moments later, with multiple hits spraying even more blood before falling to the ground unconscious. I'm sorry for beating you up so badly, Lee, but I can't fail these exams now. If I do, I'll never increase in rank. Not if those stupid council members have their way, said Naruto to himself as he slowly rose to his feet, ignoring the pain on his chest as it started to heal, leaving no trace or scar on his muscled body. He was now covered in a thin layer of sweat from the workout he just gave himself in his fight with Lee while panting slightly. Naruto hadn't had a fight like that in a while, and it felt good to experience one like it again after all the training he had done for this exam. It was something that Hinata, Tenten, Temari, and the other girls were thankful for, as the multicolored-haired Genin put his sword away in an expert-like fashion before he walked towards the computer booth. Winner, Uzumaki Naruto, said Genma, amazed that the boys could do such things to each other, still enjoy it, and still be friends all in one. Those who supported Naruto cheered, while some of those that hated Naruto booed him, saying he should have been ked when he was a baby. Naruto shot that group a glare that shut him up entirely out of fear of what Naruto could do to them. Yosh. My Lee may have lost, but has gained more in it than if he won, said Guy with waves of tears in his eyes as he was now standing up again, and again he was told to sit down before he was hit with a large cup's worth of chocolate milkshake now oozing off of his head. As Naruto made his way up the stairs he met Shino along the way, who nodded to him briefly before walking past him. After that though Temari appeared, and as she walked down the steps only she was more affectionate. She pinned Naruto against the wall and kissed him on the lips while groping his exposed upper body. When she let go she only smiled at his shocked reaction and blushing face. That was a congratulatory kiss on your hard-fought victory over that Lee kid, said Temari winking at him before walking down the steps with a skip to her step. My little Naruto-kun has become quite the ladies' man, haven't you? Thought Dragona, as she saw Naruto blush as he realized that was one more girl to the harem he was supposed to have when Slade and his mother's spirit explained the details to him about reviving his clan. Flashback. The light shined brightly from his mother's urn, showing the purity of the soul the object contained as it rose towards the sky. Mother, thought Naruto as the urn was now on the ground several feet away from him, Slade, Hiei, Tuya, and Jin. As the light maintained itself connecting with the heavens, being with angelic wings came out of the urn, appearing before the group that now bowed at her magnificent presences. When the light dimmed slightly for the group to see her from beyond the light, they stared at her with awe as they saw someone, whose light seemed to have the power to soothe or infuriate one's heart if she wished it. Naruto, my son, said Uzumaki Hikari, smiling at her boy, who looked at her with tears in his eyes as he stood up and embraced the form of light that was his mother's body. The celestial woman before them was covered in a white kimono with hair that was long, wavy, and light brown. Her eyes were blue like her husband and son, but were light and could be mistaken for a sky blue color that could stun even the most hardened of beings. Mother, there is so much I want to say right now, but my mind won't let me, said Naruto, as his mother wrapped her arms and wings around her son, feeling the strain in her precious son's heart. It's all right, Naruto. Mommy is here now. Open your mind to me, my son, and I will learn all I need to know, said Hikari, stroking her son's hair, feeling her son's thoughts, feelings, and his hardships fill her as she saw what life he has led when she had passed on, and was further saddened to know her husband was now s. It has been a long time, Hikari, said Slade, stepping forward, bowing respectively to her presence as she looked upward to face Slade. How could this have happened? Arashi clearly wanted the boy to be considered a hero. Explain this, said Hikari, clearly not looking her son's own memories of his childhood and even more of the village's treatment with him being in the orphanage and that shack of an apartment he had been given by the third Hokage. Slade explained everything from the village's cruel treatment to the fact that those of the council wanted the boy regardless if he had himself inside Naruto or not. Sarutobi has tried his best to take care of Naruto, but the council keeps blocking half of his moves while the others are ignored or carried out with minimal effort, said Slade, as the storm in the sky was intensifying as Hikari's rage was felt from above as lightning struck the Hyuga compound in the distance. Naruto, my precious little boy. I am sorry I was not there for you when you needed me the most, but I need you to stay strong for me as you persevere through your trials. Not to mention you need to revive the Kazama and Uzumaki clans that you are a part of. That means you have to have form of harem, said Hikari, looking down at her son, who could only nod understanding, making it easier on him with his woman troubles. Well, I guess this takes my plan in explaining things to Naruto about this happening to him sometime in the future to be shot down. Oh well, at least this way he can handle the others later now that they know about, thanks to the fox watching over Hinata that is my little spy, thought Slade, seeing how the foxes that were around Kurenai and Hinata gave excellent information on what was happening since the group's disappearance. Now that I have learned all I need to know from you, Naruto, I need you to stay strong for me and win this exam. Then when the Sandout off-sound invasion begins, I need you to fight to protect this place from total destruction. Take care, my most treasured possession, and know that your mothers love you very much and I will be with you, always, Hikari, before she surrendered her form back into the urn along with the light that shot forth from it. I will see you later, mother, thought Naruto, picking up the urn gently as if it were fragile and placing the lid airtight on top of it before holding it close to his heart. Flashback ends. Shikamaru was right about women being troublesome. Except for Hinata and Haku, that is, said Naruto when Temari was out of range of sight and hearing as he continued to walk up the stairs. Next match of the semi-finals is Subaku no Temari vs Aburame Shino, said Genma turning to the doorway that lead to the step of the competitor's booth. Sure enough, the two came out ready to fight, with Temari using her fan and Shino using his bugs and his secret trump card of a fighting style. I hope you're ready to fight, Bug Boy, because I'm not going to hold back on you, said Temari, opening up her iron fan ready to fight. Well, at least she has spirit. That's not a bad trait, said Dragona to Naruto, who was now watching from the two while being next to Gaara and Shikamaru. True, but it will need to be put in check. I am not going to be bossed around, seeing I am supposed to be clan head, thought Naruto, with Dragona nodding mentally in his head in agreement, knowing a weak clan head leads to destruction. Ready, begin, said Genma, as he brought his hand down to start the match. To everyone's surprise except for Slade and Naruto, Shino didn't release his bugs like he normally did, since logically in his mind she would send them flying away with her wind jutsus. Instead, the bug user went into a taijutsu fighting stance that no one other than the three had seen before used by him. Behold Subaku no Temari, the mantis fighting style, adapting in the ways of the insect by those who use insects. This taijutsu fighting style was given to me by Slade and Uzumaki Naruto. I figured I would have to use it sometime during the exam, and seeing how you could easily defeat my bugs, I knew I would have to use this to possibly defeat you, said Shino, going into his praying mantis form, making him look slightly creepier, in Temari's eyes anyway, than he usually did. We'll see. Take this, wind scythe jutsu, said Temari, swinging her huge fan at Shino, sending a wave of F-cutting wind at the stoic boy. Shino amazingly did nothing as he took the full force of Temari's attack, only to fall apart, revealing that it was not Shino at all, but a bug clone. During the month of training that I endured for this exam, I strengthened my bug clone jutsu to seem more realistic and to further hone my taijutsu SKS, said Shino, attacking Temari from behind, delivering at least 3 solid blows to her back before he did a spin kick to her side, sending her flying. Damn, that had to hurt, thought Genma, sensing the blows delivered to the girl would make her feel sore later, while Shino went once more back into the mantis form. Temari was shocked, as she had never seen the boy set up the bug clone technique much see through the clone, since it looked so lifelike. The clone's talking and smooth form of his taijutsu was perfect that she doubted that even a Junin could see the difference. Before she could think any further along that line of thought, Shino moved in for what seemed like the pre-verbal K to end the fight quickly. Temari, realizing that using her open fan would damage it, quickly closed it to be used as a club. Using it as a blunt object, she swung it at the bug user to knock Shino either away or down and out of the match. Let's see him get out of this, thought Temari, knowing this was no clone, but the real deal from the amount of bugs it had taken to make the damned clone. Shino, seeing the attack, moved to the left while spinning and drew out a blade from his sleeve that was different than the usual swords seen around Kohona. It was a broadsword with a curve to hit that meant it was designed for someone of decent agility. Now taking his stance with his right hand arched back and his left hand with his palm out, Shino was now making one Subaku no Temari nervous, knowing that sword could cut off her limbs if she wasn't careful. To think a fox left a scroll and sword outside my bedroom door, thought Shino, smirking beyond his trench coat at Temari and the nervousness that was now generating off of her from seeing the blade in his hand. Temari went on the defensive as Shino moved gracefully with his sword spinning, slicing away at her weapon to try damage it, or more likely destroy it. I give up, Proctor. I know when I'm outdone, said Temari, as she had been backed into a wall and did not want to get cut up from Shino's blade or his taijutsu fighting style he incorporated into it. Very well, the winner of this match by forfeit is Aburame Shino, said Genma, surprising many that a female such as one with her attitude would be defeated by giving up. Though when you considered the fact that it was against a guy who was more enigmatic than some Anbu, it wasn't surprising. However, no one could understand just how the boy got such a sword or taijutsu style like that. Where he got it indeed, thought Slade, watching with amusement, reading the crowd's expression clearly, knowing that Naruto went out of his way to make those close to him stronger, not just to fight them here in the arena, but for the upcoming battles right afterwards. Naruto, knowing he was next to fight Shino, nodded to Gaara before appearing several feet away from Shino, who nodded his head at him. I hope you're ready, Shino, because I am, said Naruto, getting into his own sword stance after drawing his own weapon. Uzumaki Naruto vs Aburame Shino. Winner of this fight will face Subaku no Gaara in the final match of the exam. Ready, begin, said Genma, wondering if he should have gotten the extended ninja health insurance plan. Shino moved first, which surprised many as he was normally the calm and collected type among the Leaf as well as the Aberrane clan. Shino's sword outward thrust at Naruto's head was dodged by the intended target that the multicolored haired boy was. Naruto then ducked and jumped away when the boy turned the thrust attack into a multi-layered spin aimed at his upper, middle, and lower sections of the body. Not bad, Shino, but not good either. Your form is good, but your move was too predictable. You were supposed to fight in an unorthodox way, said Naruto before the boy took his sword into his left hand and touched the upper part of the blade with his right as he got into a stance that Shino or anyone else in the stadium had seen before. What stance is that? It looks to be a samurai version of my sword stance, said Shino, as he was slightly confused at the stance Naruto has now taken. In the stands, Zabuza looks on in shock, as he realizes just what sword stance that Naruto has taken that he was now seeing before him. It can't be. Can it? No one has mastered such a sword stance since it was only considered a legend among samurai, much less missed, seeing how we all love to use swords. I remember my old sensei showing me a very old scroll about the technique and its history, but it was incomplete due to time damaging the information it held. How could Naruto have mastered it, much less been taught it? Could he have done it with Slade's help? Thought Zabuza, as he was now watching the fight with even greater anticipation. Zabuza-san, what sword stance is that? I've never seen it before, said Haku, watching like Zabuza with equal interest. Thought she had to fight a blush at seeing Naruto's chest muscles flex while in that stance. Hinata, Ino, Kin, Tenten, Hana, and Temari were thinking along that line too. That Haku is a sword stance that has not seen in a long time. It's called the Gaitetsu stance, said Zabuza, as Naruto said the last part at the same time. Ga. Gaitetsu, said Shino, looking shocked, moving his stance back a little by less than an inch. Yes, a sword stance of legend in and among the samurai world that was said to be lost to all, but hid and missed, but was incomplete due to it being so old and damaged because of it. It's a sword stance that can end any foe I face in a single strike, but seeing how you are my friend Shino, I'll aim for just slightly wounding you, said Naruto, leaping forward at impressive kick-off speed that forced Shino to do the only thing he could while he was thinking on his feet. He jumped. The Gaitetsu is indeed a very scary attack. However, such a sly sword style, much less a technique like this, requires one to have a lot of leg strength and stamina to keep such a sword technique going. Should the attack miss, the victim of the Gaitetsu, thought a slightly relived Shino, as Naruto was now under him, only to pale when Naruto stopped and smirked at him. Don't think that being in midair saves you, Shino. All it really does is make you a big and easy target, said Naruto, pointing his sword upward and then leaping into the air and LD Shino in the side, spraying blood everywhere around them on the ground. Genma's eyebrows were twitching at being covered in both human blood and bug blood from the bugs that were hid within Shino's internal bug colony. Okay, I am so asking the third Hokage for extra pay for this, thought Genma, who in all fairness could handle the blood of a human being since he had Ked being a Junin and all, but when it came to being hit with bug blood, it was just www. Even if I don't KU with the Gaitetsu's first hit, all I have to do is turn the sword, and then slash right so I can still cause damage to the person I hit, said Naruto, doing exactly that, spinning and kicking Shino into the hard earth ground. That technique is amazing. To think he's only using the 2 if the 3 stances of it at his age, thought a now inawed Zabuza, knowing from what he had read from the scroll before he had reached the unreadable faded away part back when he was younger. Especially if the Gaitetsu strike is mine, said Naruto to Shino as the boy struggled to get up, holding his right side with his left arm while some of his bugs tried patching up the wound with their spit. Meanwhile, Naruto landed gracefully on the ground before making a quick motion that removed the blood from his sword. If this is holding back, but going easy, do I really want to know what he's like going all out, thought Shino, finding that he had to use his sword as a crutch as blood could be seen leaving his trench coat. Sorry Shino, but just because we're friends doesn't mean I can go easy on you. Well, I am, but you know what I mean, said Naruto, chuckling slightly, as Shino soon grasped the realization that if Naruto wanted to take things seriously he would be annihilated right now. Indeed, I do, said Shino, readjusting himself before he decided to think of a much more logical choice in handling the Gaitetsu strike. That is until Shino had come to the horrible yet only logical conclusion that the opponent before him, that was Uzumaki Naruto, could be not beaten as he currently stood. Proctor-san, after carefully advising the fight on a logical and strategic base, I forfeit seeing how I cannot win against my opponent. A ninja should know when to admit defeat regardless of rank, said Shino, putting his sword into the ground point first before kneeling in front of Naruto, showing he surrendered. Niece. That kid knows when he's outdone. A leader should know when he can and can't win when it comes to being a squad leader, said Chunin exam judge number 1. Yeah. Looks like we got 3 promising Chunin this year, said Chunin judge number 2, knowing that some ninja can becoming arrogant while on missions and have lost a great deal of squad mates' heads to their enemies, if not their own. The winner of this match by forfeit is Uzumaki Naruto, said Genma, as he was glad to see no one was booing yet disturbed very few were cheering. Must be the shock. Yeah, definitely the shock, thought Naruto, helping Shino to his feet and secretly healing his injury much to the bug user's relief. Thanks Uzumaki-san, said Shino, as he put his sword away in his coat. Don't sweat it. Besides, you need to be in tip-top shape for what's happening after this exam, said Naruto, knowing that everyone in Kohona's ninja force from Genin to the Hokage himself were all set with defending the village when the time came. Alright, the final match of the Chunin exam starts now. Uzumaki Naruto vs Subaku no Gaara. Gaara appears, for the winner of the exams. Ready. Begin, said Genma, as he wondered if Kohona has this stadium was insured well enough by the Fire Country's feudal lord. Gaara, let's make this fight a match to remember, said Naruto, going back into Gaitetsu stance yet again, only with it arched above his head now. What stance is that? I know it's the Gaitetsu, but your form is different than when you just faced Shino, said Gaara, standing with his arms crossed, wondering if his sand could protect him from such a sword style. This is the Gaitetsu, second stance. What you saw was the first stance of the Gaitetsu along with its aerial form, that is the third stance when you have to go airborne to KO or wound your enemies. However, the second stance of the Gaitetsu is possibly considered to be the true stance, where one is required not to hold back, said Naruto, making Gaara look at his opponent with widened eyes. And no holding back, said Gaara, knowing he would be no match for Naruto if he was toyed with and only had a remote chance of winning, but if the Fox Demon vessel went all out with the Gaitetsu, then he was most likely screwed. Brace yourself, said Naruto, becoming serious, as did Gaara, who now tried to steal his resolve in beating the boy, or at least get a hit in. Just because he would most likely lose didn't mean Gaara was going to do it quietly and during the Chunin exams no less. Bring it on, said Gaara in his old creepy voice with newly found determination. Hey, as you wish, said Naruto, putting chakra to his feet before running forward, Gaitetsu ready to strike, making Gaara nearly blink twice as he saw what seemed like a hazy hallucinated image of Demon Fox coming at him. Scary, thought Gaara, as he summoned his sand to shield and protect him, making it as hard and dense as he could make it with his mind. As strong as the Gaitetsu strike was, this strike did not have the power to the very dense wall of sand that Gaara had constructed to shield him. Naruto leaped back as spikes of sand came at him from the wall, hitting its target in the right arm, left chest, and both the lower part of the legs. Not bad, Gaara. However, such a defense can get you only so far, as the Gaitetsu was said to be a legendary attack that could in truth through solid stone, said Naruto, going into the Gaitetsu stance yet again, only he took to the air using the first stance to kick off and then went into the third stance going airborne, only to come crashing down onto Gaara like an elemental missile jutsu. Naruto impacted the sand with a loud crash, creating large cloud of dust, dirt, and sand from Gaara's defense to make the sword holder impossible to see for a good 30 seconds. You cannot beat me with Gaitetsu, Naruto-san. You should stop while you can. You have used all your attack stances for the sword style of Gaitetsu, said Gaara confidently with his arms still crossed with his confidence growing. No, he hasn't. There is another stance to the Gaitetsu, but that was lost with the other half of the third stance that had been lost through the years of the scroll's decay. Legends say it could a diamond the size of my Zanbato if pushed hard enough with a person's own upper body strength, thought Zabuza, wondering just was that stance. Are you sure? There is one stance I have yet show you, Gaara-san. Though I am uneasy in showing it to you due to the fact that if I use I may KO you. Do I have your permission to use it? said Naruto, as the dust cloud had now dissipated with Naruto still in his ever sly Gaitatsu stance with the point of the sword touching the wall of sand in front of him. Yes, said Gaara, not realizing that one word would be the very thing that spelled doom for him moments later. Gaara sensed the tip of Naruto's sword leave his wall of dense sand as he now imagined Naruto getting into the Gaitatsu sword stance again. At first, there was silence and Gaara frowned, wondering if Naruto had changed his mind in mid-motion, but realized Naruto was not like that at all. It was then he heard something on the other side of the wall of sand that made his spine shiver with fear. He heard a dark laugh that did not come from a boy, but from a demon that sounded like it had just found a fresh soul to feast on. Here it comes, Gaara. Gaitatsu, zero stance, yelled Naruto at the end as he spun in a circle, driving his left arm with sword in his left hand, right into the wall, sing through the wall, through Gaara's right shoulder and out the other side. Screamed Gaara, as the pain shot through him like none he had ever felt before in the physical concept, though in his defense this was the first time he had ever been hit. No way. He got Gaara with that attack, said Kankuro, watching in shock and horror that there was someone who could do that to his younger brother. Everyone else was shocked, starting with Asuma, who lost his sig, while Kurenai could only stare with her mouth hanging down. Kakashi, who was watching the fight with both of his eyes wide open in shock. I can't copy it. Even if I could, Sasuke would never use such a style, nor would he let me. Saying such things are for weaklings. The speed Naruto used for that attack was intense, and the strength it requires makes Guy and Lee's strength look like pushovers, thought Kakashi, while Sasuke was sitting up with his back against the wall next to Kakashi with a scowl when he heard Naruto call out the attack, followed by Gaara's scream, and Kakashi's eyes widening made it even worse. That loser keeps getting stronger. If only I could see it what he was doing so I could copy it. And why didn't my Sharingan I see Lee's movements? Could it have been that I Naruto has? No, it couldn't be. His puny third eye is nothing compared to mine. Nothing. Thought Sasuke, finding his body was not being responsive enough to get up and see what was happening outside. The sand fell to the ground as if a sign of defeat as Naruto quickly removed his sword from Gaara's now bleeding shoulder. Very impressive, Naruto-san. I cannot win, sir. I yield victory over to you, seeing how you could have killed me with that attack if you so wished, said Gaara, as the sand retreated into his gourd while the wound on his shoulder was slowly healing. Winner of the Chunin exam finals. Uzumaki Naruto, said Genma, as Naruto put away his sword and shook Gaara's hand, who took it willingly. The crowd was shocked, awed, angry, happy, and other multiple emotions, with Naruto being the winner of the Chunin exams. They expected it to be Neji or even Sasuke, but the demon brat had won and would most likely be made a Chunin. Take that in your pipe and smoke, you ungrateful villagers, thought Naruto, giving a mocking salute to the crowd, infuriating those who hated him. Just as this became apparent to everyone what had happened, a smoke bomb went off in the cage box in the stadium, getting everyone's attention for a brief moment. Temple of Nirvana Jutsu, said Kabuto behind his Anbu Black Ops disguise before his genjutsu in the form of raining feathers appeared. The result made most of the people in the stadium fall asleep thanks to Kabuto, and those that didn't were either Leaf or Sound Ninja. Wind Sword Jutsu, said Baki, attacking Kabuto from behind, no longer wearing his Sand Junin uniform, but one of the Leaf. Kabuto's Anbu Black Ops disguise shredded instantly, but thanks to his years of being taught the art of healing from his surrogate father, his wounds healed quickly. He frowned as he fell towards the stadium floor and recovered mid-fall when he flipped in mid-air and landed on his feet. This is unexpected. Why is Baki working for the Leaf? This means this plan will not go as it was originally designed, thought Kabuto, looking at his master in the cage stance, who was now facing the third Hokage Slade. I have waited for this moment, Sarutobi-sensei. Though I did intend for this to be just a fight between us, this makes no difference to me, seeing how I can call upon the power to destroy the both of you, said Orochimaru, as his Sound 4 had created the prison to contain him that was the Four Flames Formation Jutsu. Jin and Tuya had been knocked back by the smoke bomb and had leapt away from the barrier, sensing that if one touched it they would s. Well, isn't this a crying shame? They get all the fun and we can't join in. Num rap me says to you, Tuya, said Jin, removing his demon shinobi robe along with Tuya. Yes, it would seem so. However, we have a job to do and we need to do it now. Let's go K some sand and sound ninja, said Tuya smirking while Jin smiled with glee at the notion. I must admit that it has been indeed a long time since our previous encounter, my old student, and there is no denying I have become what you considered old as well. Still, it does not mean I am not strong enough to best you in combat like I did when you were younger and more sane, said Sarutobi, removing his cage robes, revealing he was ready for combat, while Slade stood there calm and calculating, staring at Orochimaru with his one eye. When I'm done with Sarutobi, you are next, fool, said Orochimaru, not liking the fact the other one next to his old sensei was not afraid. The fool is you, Orochimaru. After all these years you can't even see straight and realize just who you are facing in this little prison of yours. Though it was dark that night, so it is possible you don't recognize me, said Slade with his eye gleaming wickedly at the snake Sannon. Then refresh my so-called again memory so I can finish the job I no doubt started years ago, said Orochimaru, channeling chakra through his body, as was Sarutobi. The name is Slade, also known as Kyubi, the nine-tailed demon fox, said Slade, releasing his demonic chakra, making Orochimaru take a step back, too speechless for words. This can't be. He was supposed to be sealed into Arashi's son, thought Orochimaru, as he realized he would have to use that technique sooner than later. I see you remember me now. Good. It will be all the more easier for me that way as I stare into those snake-like eyes of yours as you beg for mercy, before I crush you, said Slade, as his eye glowed red while his free hand was covered in hellfire. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.